want to have 2 more fights this year. Then after that, take off a little bit of time, maybe have a kid or something, and then come back and fight some more.
Becoming, it doesn't mean I'm not going to have time for the other kids, but it does mean I have a new baby and I have to focus and give that baby my undivided.
Light-skinned girls who think they just so pretty, and just because they born light-skinned that they just all that they can come up with shit talk.
Gab is like my best friend. I talk to him about everything, you know, and when like the time is right, you know, people want details of.
Y'all, this isn't just another celebrity love saga. This becomes a slow burn emotional collapse that allegedly shattered a woman who believed she was securing a tomorrow. Y'all assumed Claressa Shields only fought wars inside the ring. According to what she allegedly exposes, her most vicious battle unfolded behind sealed doors beside a man she hoped to marry. Sources claim Claressa didn't chase money, clout, or headlines. She chased vows murmured in secrecy, vows about forever, about becoming the next chapter, about marriage. She allegedly trusted Papoose wasn't just killing time. He was mapping out a life. But here's where the story slips sinister. Allegedly, while Claressa was pouring her heart, Papoose's devotion was never singular. His heart, his focus, his priorities, they were already anchored somewhere else. And Claressa. She was allegedly held close yet never selected. Insiders allege that when Remy Ma's chapter grew unstable, Claressa wasn't cherished. She was leveraged. Used for image, used for fame, used for access, used while being assured she was the one. And the most agonizing part, allegedly, Claressa remained loyal while side chicks lurked within the shadows. She questioned. She demanded dignity. And the instant she said no more, she was allegedly erased. Sources say Papoose promised marriage, but never meant to deliver. Claressa reportedly placed her focus, her finances, her future decisions on hold for love, only to discover she was never priority, just an option, an emotional convenience. By the time she allegedly saw the truth, the damage was already complete inside her. What you're about to hear isn't a fairy tale. It's an alleged emotional courtroom drama that unfolds like sworn testimony. A story where love is challenged, intentions are dissected, and every promise is cross-examined. Sources say when Claressa Shields stepped into Papoose's world, her life was already weighed down by discipline, sacrifice, and victories earned the hard way. She wasn't hunting headlines or a rescuer. According to those close to the situation, she was seeking something quieter, stability, understanding, and a future that felt real beyond the cameras. Allegedly, that's exactly what Papoose offered. Not loudly, not recklessly, but through words that felt intentional, controlled, and safe. Insiders claim he spoke with certainty, not fantasies, not maybe. Claressa reportedly believed she wasn't being entertained for a season. She was being selected for a lifetime. Marriage wasn't introduced as imagination. Sources say it was positioned as purpose. And when someone who understands struggle hears purpose, they hear it differently. But this is where the air in the room shifts. Because while Claressa was allegedly being told she was the future, there was a past still taking up space. Multiple sources claimed that Remy Ma was never fully gone. Not emotionally, not symbolically. And Claressa, according to those familiar, didn't realize she had been placed in what would later feel like a waiting room.
Quote time.
No, he gonna meet me over there. I'm walking here.
Yes, he did.
More importantly, what'd you think about that knockout?
I loved it, man. She melted like strawberry ice cream, man.
Of having his support, you know what I'm saying? His support is like very, very different from what I've had in the past, and how he speaks to me and stuff is very different. There you go. We deserve each.
People close to Claressa alleged that she was emotionally committed during a time when clarity was absent. She was allegedly comforted during moments of uncertainty, told to remain patient, told that timing was the only barrier. And patience, when blended with hope, can be dangerous. As the story progresses, murmurs begin to rise. Allegedly, when things grew unstable elsewhere, attention shifted, not from devotion, but convenience. That's what sources claim. Claressa, they say, became suddenly more present, more visible, more valuable. Public appearances increased. Conversations stayed behind closed doors. And the narrative quietly shifted from someday to soon, but soon never arrived. According to insiders, Claressa began noticing cracks, contradictions, silence where reassurance once existed. And then the silence that followed became louder than any confrontation. According to sources familiar with the situation, Claressa Shields didn't speak out immediately because she was still trying to understand how something that felt so deliberate could unravel so quietly. What appeared from the outside as distance was allegedly a period of internal reckoning. She was replaying conversations, promises, reassurances, searching for the exact moment where truth split from performance. Those close to her say the emotional fallout wasn't dramatic at first. It was heavy. Claressa reportedly questioned herself before she questioned him. She questioned whether she had misread signals, whether she had asked for too much, whether patience had quietly transformed into blindness. That inner bargaining, sources say, is what kept her quiet while rumors rushed to fill the silence. But behind closed doors, fractures were spreading. Insiders alleged that communication didn't simply slow, it became controlled. Messages were left hanging. Plans remained unresolved. And when Claressa tried to restore clarity, the replies she got were unclear, postponed, or emotionally detached. What once felt like priority allegedly started to feel like burden. This is where people close to the situation say Claressa began recognizing a pattern. According to multiple accounts, moments of intimacy only surfaced when exposure or benefit was present. Public spaces brought affection. Private talks brought reasons. Claressa allegedly started to feel activated when needed and suspended when not. That awareness, sources claim, hurt more than any fight ever could. The alleged presence of other women didn't arrive all at once. It surfaced in pieces. Unanswered questions, overlapping timelines, familiar names appearing where they shouldn't. And when Claressa finally addressed what she believed she was noticing, those close to her say she wasn't met with ownership, she was met with avoidance. Sources alleged that instead of comfort, she was told she was imagining things. Instead of honesty, she was given space. And in that moment, Claressa reportedly realized that loyalty wasn't being honored, only managed. What followed, according to insiders, wasn't an explosive breakup, but a gradual retreat. Emotional access shrank. Support turned situational, and the promises that once felt real allegedly became abstract. Marriage, once discussed with assurance, now existed only as a distant possibility. Possibility became nothing. People close to Claressa say this was when the emotional price became undeniable. She had reshaped her life around a future that was no longer being affirmed. Financial choices, timing, long-range plans, all reportedly influenced by an expectation now quietly withdrawn. And still, she stayed longer than she should have. According to those who know her, Claressa stayed because she believed steadiness would be rewarded. Because she believed character mattered. Because she believed leaving without trying everything would feel like defeat. That belief, sources say, is what made the final ending so brutal. When the separation eventually came, insiders claim it wasn't defined by answers. There was no closing conversation that explained everything. No recognition of damage, just an emotional shut door that left Claressa with unresolved questions and the feeling she had been erased from a story she helped carry. Friends alleged that the realization arrived in stages. First grief, then disbelief, then rage, and finally awareness. That awareness, according to those close to her, is what led Claressa to describe the relationship in language that stunned people, not because it was harsh, but because it was honest. She allegedly described the experience as one where her sincerity was exploited, not appreciated, where her loyalty was accepted, but not returned. The word opportunist didn't appear randomly. Sources say it came from reflection, from observing how attention rose when her presence enhanced image and dropped when it didn't. From recognizing how emotional labor was expected from her but rarely given back. Insiders claim Claressa eventually arrived at a realization that unsettled her deeply. That the relationship may have fulfilled a purpose for someone else long before it ever served her. That the future she was offered was never under construction, only mentioned. And once that truth settled in, silence no longer felt like safety. It felt like participation. According to those familiar with her state of mind, Claressa didn't speak out to retaliate. She spoke out to reclaim, to take control of a narrative that had quietly positioned her as replaceable. Her alleged remarks weren't emotional outbursts. They were deliberate reflections that carried impact because they came from discipline, not reaction. The public response, sources say, was instant, support poured in, disbelief surfaced, resistance followed, and scrutiny intensified. Some questioned the timing, some questioned her motives. But those close to Claressa insist the reason was straightforward. She was finished carrying a story that was never meant to rest on her shoulders alone. What made the situation resonate, insiders claim, was that it wasn't scandal for spectacle. It was imbalance about how easily power in one arena can be mistaken for armor in another. Claressa could dominate a ring, but according to those close to her, she was unprepared for emotional uncertainty disguised as assurance. And perhaps the most haunting element of this alleged saga isn't what occurred, but what never did. The future that never materialized, the accountability that never surfaced, the explanation that was never given. As the narrative continues to circulate, observers are left with an unsettling question. Not whether love was present, but whether intention ever was, whether the promises were designed to be fulfilled, or whether they were always meant to keep someone close just long enough. Those close to Claressa say she has moved forward with intention, not resentment. The sadness lingers, but it no longer defines her. What defines her now, they say, is clarity. The realization that not every bond built on language is reinforced by action. And as this alleged case continues to unfold in the court of public opinion, one truth becomes increasingly hard to dismiss. Some relationships don't end because love fades. They end because truth finally shows up. What followed wasn't an apology, not an explanation, but a shift in energy that people close to the situation say validated everything Claressa Shields had begun to sense. According to those familiar, once the narrative slipped beyond her control, the atmosphere around her changed. Silence was no longer neutral. It became intentional. Insiders claimed Claressa noticed her name being sidestepped in certain spaces, while her presence was quietly removed from future plans. Invitations vanished. Conversations cooled. It was as if the relationship had never happened. Despite the emotional and personal investment she allegedly made, that erasure, sources say, cut deeper than any confrontation ever could. People close to Claressa alleged she began connecting patterns she once overlooked. Moments that felt affirming suddenly appeared transactional in hindsight. Praise now sounded strategic. Support now felt conditional. The realization, according to those around her, was painful but illuminating. This is where the courtroom tone sharpens because according to insiders, Claressa didn't just feel emotionally dismissed. She felt deliberately substituted. New faces surfaced, familiar cycles repeated, and the same assurances she once trusted were allegedly being repackaged for others. Not because history repeated itself by chance, but because that pattern had allegedly proven effective before. Sources say Claressa reached a point where denial no longer existed. She allegedly accepted that the love she believed was shared may have been uneven from the beginning. That while she was building something genuine, someone else was managing outcomes. And that understanding broke her. Friends claim there were nights Claressa questioned her own instincts more than his actions. She reportedly asked herself how strength in one arena failed to shield her in another. How someone so disciplined, so intentional, could still be caught off guard by intention disguised as affection, but sorrow eventually gave way to resolve. Not explosive rage, not public fury, but a calm, deliberate recognition that what happened mattered. That silence had shielded the wrong person long enough. According to insiders, Claressa didn't choose to speak because she craved attention. She chose to speak because she needed the record to carry her truth. When she allegedly labeled the relationship opportunistic, it wasn't casual. Those close to her say that word arrived through reflection, not impulse. After noticing how timing consistently favored someone else, how her importance rose during moments of instability elsewhere, how her loyalty was accepted without being returned. The public response, sources say, became split. Some asked why she stayed. Others asked why she spoke. But those closest to her argue those questions miss the point entirely. The point, they say, isn't endurance, it's accountability. Because according to Claressa's alleged experience, she wasn't given informed consent. She wasn't told she was temporary. She wasn't told she was a backup. She was told she was the future. And constructing your life around a future that never existed leaves damage that doesn't fade quietly. Insiders claim Claressa also wrestled with the idea that her success may have made her exposed. That being self-sufficient allowed others to rationalize taking without giving. That independence was mistaken for emotional durability. And that's when the tragedy sharpens. This wasn't about jealousy. It wasn't about rivalry. It wasn't about another woman. According to those close to the situation, it was about truth withheld, about promises offered without intention, about emotional labor taken without commitment. As the story continued circulating, more voices began drawing parallels. Many recognized the dynamic. Many have lived it. Many have been promised permanence by someone who only needed proximity. And that's why the story extends beyond celebrity, because it poses an uncomfortable question. How often do people confuse access with affection? How often is stability exploited under the disguise of romance?